quick. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans on May 28th, 2019. It is the end of the month. And
where did the years go?
I don't know where this year is going. It's going faster than last year. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com. I'm here with Carol Ray, founder of Notary2Pro.com, and Laura Biewer, founder of CoachMeLaura.com. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us today. Laura, especially you today, you're on vacation with your family. I really appreciate you coming from North Carolina. And the way today's really going to work, guys, is we've got we got a presentation from Laura, because one of the reasons that you missed the last couple of weeks, Laura, right, was you were at the NNA conference.
Right.
So we're going to get some of the key takeaways that Laura put together for us. And then, of course, we have lots of questions from you guys already submitted. So we'll have a great list to go off of. But, of course, we will start with those who are on the call right now with additional questions. Laura, how are you feeling? Do you want to go first, or do you want to come in a little later?
Well, if I could come in a little later to warm up, that would be great.
Yeah. All right. Let's warm it up. Who's got a question? Who's live on the call right now that has a question for us? Anyone? I know it's still kind of early for some, later for others.
Do you want to know what we're excited about?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Carol, what are you excited about?
I have something I'm excited about.
Awesome, good. What are you excited about?
Laura, yesterday, I spent almost an hour and a half with an interviewer for a newsletter article for the NNA.
Oh, cool.
It's coming out in July. He was interviewing mentors and people that are training notaries. And we had this great conversation, and I'm really excited about it. It's coming out in July.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What an honor. Laura, what are you excited about?
Now, my lips aren't moving, but I am talking. You might find me frozen, but here I be. I am really excited that in a few hours, just an hour actually after we're done, I'll be driving over to meet with North Carolina signing agents and mobile notaries to talk about how they run their business, any roadblocks they have in their state due to their regulations, and how to expand that, how to make that work for them. So I'm really very excited to meet with them this afternoon. And then my other more personal exciting news is when I came back from conference, my son introduced me to my future daughter-in-law. He got engaged while I was gone. And so I'll have a wedding February 1st. So that's pretty exciting too.
That is extremely exciting. Congratulations on that as well. I'm so glad to hear that you're meeting with the North Carolina notaries too, because I think you learn so much when we get to meet our fellow notaries in person at these little meetups. So can't wait to see how that goes. As for me, guys, I am very excited. June's going to be a pretty incredible month as far as guests go and special events go. But this is
I can't do anything with it.
I'm going to go ahead and mute you real quick. There you go. So one of the cool things that we're doing that's completely free for all notaries on June 15th at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time is we're running a special masterclass on public speaking. And this is going to be designed and catered just for mobile notaries and loan signing agents. The idea is that anytime you go to a meetup, if you're hosting a meetup, or if you go to a networking event, you have to stand up and speak about your business, or even if you're just meeting one-on-one with escrow officers, or even in signing appointments, having basic public speaking skills is going to empower you and give you a boost of confidence and showmanship that is sometimes lacking in our industry. So this is going to be a free training. It's about an hour and a half long and open to anybody who would like to join online. I'm putting the link right in the chat window, so you can click on that. Just requires a registration, but it's 100% free for notaries. Real excited about that. Dustin Hogan, founder of the Rockstar Academy, is going to be our host and teacher on that one. All right, so that's what we're excited about. Carol, thank you for reminding me about that. We're going to go ahead and jump in. Anybody think of any questions you'd like to answer right now on camera?
I do. Good morning. This is Glay.
Hey, Glay. How's it going?
Great. I'm a little nervous. But my question is, and you might see it on the email because I did it kind of late, submitted it kind of late. Can a mother, son, or husband and wife work as a team? Being the like a son is, my son does mortgages. Can he refer packages for loan signing, or is that a conflict of interest? Am I making sense?
Yes, Glay, thank you for the question. It is on our list today, so that's perfect. Thank you for coming in and saying it live. So the question really is, can two people who might be related be referral partners? And if one's a loan officer or even a real estate agent, can they refer you out as a signing agent?
Correct.
Great question. Anybody, Laura or Carol, you have an immediate?
My immediate thought is that there isn't. I hear that partnership going on all the time. If there's a rule against it, I haven't heard it. People can, just as they favorite notaries, signing companies favorite notaries all the time, so can real estate agents and others say, hey, I like working with this person. So I don't see any issue with it at all.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, Carol, do you have any opinion on this one?
No, I agree with Laura. Unless they're directly involved with the people signing the documents, right, somehow, as long as there's that division between relative, if they're servicing somebody that's a distant relative, or that they're involved in the transaction somehow, I don't see any reason why they can't.
Yeah, I think one of the most beautiful parts of this business is the relationship component. And a lot of times when we hear relationship business, we think that means outside of our personal network. But it's amazing how many times the one connection that you need to change everything is already in your personal network. So setting up those types of personal referrals is really powerful. And I recommend that once you have that certain confidence level up and you're ready to cash in on your personal network, that you do that. Ask them, do you know anybody in the loan business or real estate agents? Real estate agents will refer you to their escrow officers too. So I think this is a great way to grow your business.
I have a student who graduated a year ago, and her sister works for a title company that's near a big title company. And she managed to introduce her to people there, and they put her to work right away. And now she's just so busy all the time and doing so much work for them. So you never know where the work's going to come from.
Exactly. And it will really blow your mind how many people in your network want to love and support you in this new business. So when you get the courage to talk about your business to them, it really can be life-changing. Great question, Glay. Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question, Bill.
Sure. Hey, Jen.
Hi, this is Jen. Hi. So I'm in California. I had my first ever loan sign recently. Well, it was actually partial, so I haven't actually really looked into what exactly I'm supposed to do. So it was for a refi. The thing is that technically the signer did sign some of the documents, but when we got to the note, that's when she double checked the interest rate and the payment, I guess, and then she declined to go any further. But technically I did notarize some documents, and I followed the instructions from the signing company as far as what to do with them afterwards, since she canceled. But as far as my journal goes, some technically were notarized, but the others weren't. So yeah, I guess my question is how to note that the best way in my journal.
All right, Bill, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Great question. Well, Laura, Carol, would you like to take that one?
So here's how I would handle it. If I got through some portion of a signing and I actually noted it all in my journal already, and I stamped it and I actually notarized them, those were notarized documents.
Right.
I did the act. So I'd go back into my journal and the additional information and write, stop signing, I'd make a note for those. Of course, I don't write in anything I haven't notarized yet. I don't pre-do my journal ahead of time. I do it as I go. So I wouldn't have any other entries yet. But if I had other entries where I hadn't notarized them yet, those I'd strike because they were not notarized.
Right. I would also like to make a suggestion to Jen and to anybody else. We talked about this before, how important it is to rearrange the stacking of your documents.
Yes.
So at the top, you have money in, money out.
Right.
Because when you start going through the documents, and I think I talked about this recently, you can thumb through every time they ask you a question, you're going to be spending your time looking for the note, the payment letter. If you can move those things up to the top, you get that money right out of the way right away. If their interest rate is wrong, if the loan amount is wrong, if the time that they're going to take to pay it off is wrong, you'll know right away. You're not going to waste your time.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's great. And you really don't see that too much anymore. Since 2015, when the closing disclosure came out, if you address those first, you don't see a whole lot of discrepancies anymore. I mean, there's always exceptions, of course, but those are pretty rare these days. Great question, Jen. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, cool. We've got some great questions on the presentation, so I'm going to jump in here real quick. All right, journal entries. If I get paid $125 for a loan signing, for instance, how do I record the amount paid in the journal if I did 8 entries? Do I add the amount paid only on the first entry, or do I add the amount on all entries? I've heard this question quite a bit. Laura, what do you think?
So, first of all, the way I see it is that is the amount of money that's being charged for the notarization itself, and whether or not they gave it to me at the table or I got paid by somebody else, they paid for it any way you look at it. So it's what the expectation is, what did they pay? So I put the maximum allowed in my state for everyone that I can get that whole amount. And then when I run out of money, so for instance, that's 125, I get $15 for each one. If I did 6, I'm at 90. Right? If I did 7, I'm what, 105? I can get up to, I think, 8. Am I there yet? 105, 115, 120. So there I'm 120 at that level. And then the next one would be $5. And then if I continued to notarize, I would be putting 0 because I can't collect any more money for notarization. And if it went the opposite way and actually got more money than I notarized for, which happens in my general business often, I would put the 15, and all the rest of the money that I got, which was for travel or printing or other services, doesn't go in the journal at all. That I keep track of in software for, IRS tax purposes, but the journal only keeps the actual notarization fee. So that's how I happen to do it.
Excellent. Carol, how about you? Any suggestions on that?
No, same thing.
Beautiful.
I believe that I don't know about other states, but I believe it's the law that all you can put in your journal is your actual notary fee.
Yeah, that's just, I'm sorry, who's that?
Oh, hi, Bill. I have a question about that. So I believe I am here in Michigan, and I like what she said. Because I can charge $10 per signature, I believe. So if I were charging $125 for that job, and if I had 8 people, I could charge up to $80 for my state fee, and then everything else would be listed under it. And would I just call it additional fees, or I guess something along that line?
Certainly, in additional information or notes, if you want to make a note that this was a loan signing and this was the whole amount, or this was the remainder of the money, you can. I don't put anything beyond the notary fee. I don't make any markations about that because that's a public record. And I don't think the public needs to know my private accounting business. So everything else outside of that, I don't mark in there at all, but you certainly can do that.
Yeah, that's a good point, just because up until now, when I do the general work, I put my travel fees in there, but I do like your point of why would it put anything above that in the journal itself? That's a good thought. I appreciate that.
I think you have to think about who's concerned about what. IRS is concerned about everything that you get, and keeping your notary software with all of those figures is what you need to do. And I think
absolutely, and I do that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
And if anybody's wondering, I just want to add that if anybody's wondering about why does it matter for me personally, why do I take the maximum amount on all those, is that there is a perk to being a notary that has to do with self-employment tax. And so I want to push as much of my income into that bucket as I can. And you'll need to talk to your own CPA to find out the details of how that works. But there is a perk of not paying self-employment tax on that part of your money. Everything else, you still have to pay income tax on everything. But you know what? At the end of the year, having a few $1,000s I didn't have to pay that on, I'll take it.
Excellent. Great questions, guys. As we're moving the needle in relationship building and sending out cards or making some other type of contact, no matter what form it takes, how often should that be done? In other words, if I'm sending handwritten cards to the companies I work with, how often should I send the card? How often is too often? I don't want to become annoying or somehow water down the effect. I think that's a great question.
Yeah, Bill, I think you should take it first.
Yeah, so I think there is such a thing as overdoing it, especially if we're sending the thank you cards to signing companies. What that line is, though, I don't have a real measurement for it. I do what feels right. So that might end up being monthly. Like I'll use Zoom signings as an example. I always drop a thank you card in with a Zoom signing, especially when I first started. And then I started to dwindle off a little bit. I would either do it when I had a problem file, or they had called me and said specifically, we need you to take this, or at least just once a month on memory, basically. That's pretty much how I gauge that. And then on the escrow officer side, I really, the key to this whole thing working is being authentic in your delivery. Mm-hmm. So if you're forcing the cards, if you're like, oh, I got to send them another card, or it feels weird to send them another card right now, you can kind of trust your gut on it. Maybe it is too much. Mm-hmm. I like to, once I get a client and I have a solid relationship with them, I slow down on a lot of the card sending. I still try to stay in touch. I'd like to do things around holidays or special occasions. Like if they make it to President's Club, I like to take them to dinner. I just did that over the weekend. Or it seems like all my escrow officer clients are drinkers, so I'll give them a bottle of wine or a bottle of the Notary whiskey or whatever it is to kind of just strengthen those relationships. But when you have the relationship already, you kind of treat it just like you would a friend relationship, right? So you wouldn't send your friend a thank you card every time you picked up the phone and they talked to you or sent you a text or hung out with you. So you just kind of gauge it by how the interaction is. That's the organic and authentic way for me. Anyway, Laura, what do you think?
Yeah, Bill, I agree with you. And I look for the opportunities that makes it feel more authentic. Whether it's a birthday or a special event, or if there isn't something special, but I see time has gone by and I haven't had interaction with them. And I just did that with some of my attorney clients. There was a couple of them I really hadn't had a lot of communication with in about 3 or 4 months, and thought, you know what, I'm just going to reach out and say, hey, gosh, the new year is swinging by. Haven't reached out to you. I hope all's going well for you, and just wanted to stay in touch. And what happened was two of those attorneys, they contacted me within the week saying, gosh, thank you for the card. By the way, I have a signing coming up, a trust assignment. Are you available? So, it just kind of put me back in the top of their mind that I was somebody they work with, and here I am again. So I don't do things just on a, monthly, quarterly. I look for the opportunities, or I look to see has it been too long.
Awesome. Carol, how about you? Any feedback on that one?
I'm on the other end of the stick because I'm not out there, hustling anymore. But having been in this business and teaching students for 10 years now, I can't tell you how much I appreciate getting a handwritten, sincere thank you note from a student. It's not like this. I open up my mail every day and there's one there. So it's not that often that I see that. And when I do, I know that person has really taken some time and really given me an emotional thank you. And it means so much to me. If they were to do it every month, I'd kind of wonder, who's this person?
Right.
So yeah, I think less sometimes is more.
Great feedback. All right, next up, I live in Georgia, which is an attorney state. Can either one of you tell me how being a loan signing agent works in these types of states?
I would love to take this.
Yeah, Carol, jump in there.
Because we've got a lot of students in Georgia and other attorney states. And what I tell my students that you need to remember is, first of all, people all over the country are very migrant. I mean, they're moving all the time. People are transferred. My son actually was transferred from Arizona to Georgia, and he lived there for about 1.5 years. You cannot handle property that's within the state of Georgia without an attorney on the, working with you or doing it themselves. But what you can do is to work, it's where the people are. It is not where the property is. It's not where the title company is or the lender. It's where the people are. So if you live in an area and you have somebody close to you that has a property in let's say Oklahoma, and they're doing a refinance on it, then you have no problem being able to do that. It's perfectly legal. And people in Georgia are keeping pretty busy. Some of my graduates in Georgia are doing really well. And that goes with other states too. So you have to keep in mind, it's where the people are. It's not where the property is.
Great. Laura, how about you? Any experience on this?
I really don't have a lot of experience with it. We do know that through my NNA experience that there are Georgia signing agents out there doing the work. I know I've done properties that are in Georgia, but the people are in California, and they've requested for an attorney to be online or available during the appointment time. But other than that, I really don't have experience with that state.
I have to add one thing, because we have over the years handled a lot of out-of-state property, and a lot of them are in an attorney state. And the first time it happened was so funny. We had to have this attorney call on the phone while we were with the client. And he got on the phone and he was on, maybe 10 minutes, not even 15 minutes. And the bill was $750. It was on the closing statement. I'm like, he asked 2 or 3 questions. That was it. He's gone, and he got his money. But that's what happens if you're ever called. Don't get nervous that there's going to be an attorney calling you from that state, because all they do is ask a few questions. That's it. They've got their money and they're out of there.
Yeah. That's how it worked for me.
There is even in the states that are considered attorney states, there is lots of debate over the interpretation of the law, guys. The attorney has to be present or involved. That level of involvement is what is really up for debate all the time. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be sitting at the closing table, or that Georgia, I've noticed, interprets it as being on the phone. So that I've done Georgia signings where the lawyer stays on the entire time, listens to the spiel, available for questions, and then they just hang up and it's done. But every state can be different. And I've talked to attorneys. I'm trying to get to the bottom line. I want to know a real solid answer, but this is just one of those really gray areas. But what we can tell you is that in all 50 states, even South Carolina, which is hands down the strictest of all of them, there are signing agents that are successful in all 50 states. They find a way to make it work. So just trust that in Georgia, especially, there are signing agents everywhere. Let's see. Next question. When doing the first part of a split signing where some of the docs did not contain, oh, you know what? I think we did this one.
Okay.
Oh, wait, maybe not.
Joe, I think that came from one of my, somebody that called me and asked me, and I said, write to Bill and put it on the list because people are still very confused.
On split signings?
About split signings, and if you want, I can go over it a little bit.
You know, I was thinking about this because we actually had 3 questions on split signings, Carol. What do you think about doing just a special session where we actually plan it out and have some examples and samples for people? Would you be okay with that?
I would be fine because I spend a great deal of time on the phone with my students going over. It's so easy. It's such an easy process.
Right.
Once they get it, it's not a problem. But the one thing that we do need to say, because this is really what gets people, when they get a split signing, and if they are the second people, and I think I talked about this before, when they are the second notary signing the person in front of them, which is probably, you know, in your state and somebody else did it in another state. What's important is that if you're first, you must put a line through the person's name who is not appearing before you, because otherwise it will look like you have notarized that person's signature when they were with another notary. So they just put a line through it, not a line through the signature, the name on the signature line or any part of the document, only on your notarial certificate. Cross it out. If you're the second notary and you get documents and the other notary did not cross out that name, you need to call title company immediately and let them know, because this could hold up the signing. Nobody is supposed to change anything on our notarial certificates. We own that. So it's not like you can put a line through it or even title. They'll have to get new certificates from that notary.
Excellent. Great. I'd love to dive deeper on this too.
Yeah,
so
I would too.
You and Laura are down for it. We'll do a little presentation on it.
Yeah.
All right, great. As a new notary, is it wise to use Starbucks gift cards with a thank you card the first time they give you business? Will this look like a bribe, and will it be expected after each referral? Awesome question. Laura, you want to jump in here on this one? Any thoughts?
Well, you know, I'm trying to think how because I use Starbucks cards in thank you cards, but not typically with signing companies or title. I don't in that way. I use it for other purposes. So I've not done it that way. I've just taken the time to handwrite a thank you card.
Yeah.
And I have not put it in there.
Excellent. Carol, any insight on your end?
No. No,
So
I never did that. So.
For me, I will use a Starbucks gift card if I've had some sort of special connection with the escrow officer. If I'm just getting a random call or I just don't feel the connection, I'm very driven by the feeling, I probably would not do a Starbucks card because I don't want it to be interpreted as a bribe, and I don't want to set a standard like every time you're going to get that. What I can tell you, though, is that in my experience, the escrow officers that I have done that for, or even just a thank you card, just on its own, has tremendous power, guys. They just don't get them very often, especially from notaries. So it's very, very powerful, and it's just by itself. So don't feel obligated to do the Starbucks card. The Starbucks card I usually will do if I know that they work with a different signing company or a different mobile notary and they gave me a chance. I might go a little above and beyond. And if they, if we've had some interaction that suggests they enjoy coffee or tea, something that's built into that relationship that says, I'm going to enjoy this. And then that's what I'll do. I've done that with other things too, because I'll have one girl went off on Panda Express. She just loved Panda Express. So even if I don't quite understand it, I'm going to give them a gift card. So I do it. I'll send them something that ties yourself into the relationship will go a lot further than just a random gift card. But in the beginning, guys, you're not going to have the budget for this stuff. Just know that a thank you card in and of itself is plenty powerful.
Yeah.
All right. Can we talk about the tips we get for our notary assignments? Are they legal and or professional to accept? Laura, you do a lot of general notary work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
You know, I do get tips and different forms. Starbucks card, box of candy, cash. They offer all different ways in the general, particularly when I do facility work.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult time or a difficult signing. I had to use witnesses. And so, first of all, I don't take cash. I won't accept the cash. I charge a fee. I think they've paid enough. But if they hand me a Starbucks card or a box of candy or something like that, I will accept that and tell them how grateful I am that they liked my service and that I was able to take care of them. In terms of value for that, I can't say that I'm writing that in anywhere. They give me a box of candy. It's not going on my IRS form.
Let me pause recording here, Laura. We don't want to incriminate you. So for me, I was really uncomfortable with tips at first. I just did not expect it. Like it was not even on my radar that people would even consider giving a tip. So the first few times it was very awkward and uncomfortable. And I was like, no. But people are extremely aggressive, especially in those emotional moments when, and Laura, I totally agree with Laura, those facility work, like when you're at a hospice care or a hospital and the family's there, they're devastated, something traumatic is happening, and you have shown up, been professional, connected with the signer on some level, and then just made the process smoother and more efficient for them. They are insistent on giving tips. And sometimes it's a lot. Unexpected. They'll stuff it in my pockets. I've had somebody grab my rear end trying to stuff it into my rear end pocket because I wouldn't take it. So I started just accepting it, because it's almost you cross a line to almost doing them a disservice by not accepting it. So I certainly don't count it in front of them or anything like that. You just take it graciously and leave. But I've been blown away by some of the gratuities.
We found that on reverse mortgages, we ran into that a lot, especially a person, I don't need to say elderly because they are, but especially women who have lost a spouse, their kids are living elsewhere in the country, very lonely, and they will set up a spread for us when we come. They'll ask us to stay for dinner. And you're just, there's limits of what you can or shouldn't do. And it's really, really hard when, they've done this and obviously gone to a lot of trouble. So it's really difficult. We haven't been offered money, tips, but we have had people that have prepared meals and cookies and all kinds of things. And it's very hard to, tell them no. So you accept what they have graciously and, and limited.
Yep. Well, those cookies at reverse mortgages are why I do reverse mortgages.
I was going to say. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. This was Glay's question. We already answered that. I'm almost ready to start this adventure. Past my NNA background is pending, printer ordered. I'm curious if many escrow officers and signing companies are going paperless. I'm in Colorado and have been approved by the Secretary of State for e-notary. I would love to do as many signings as possible electronically, not remote, just electronically. Have we found a trend moving towards this in the mortgage industry? Carol, you want to take that one?
No, I think Laura has been doing a lot of research on this.
Yep.
So I want to divert to her.
Laura, you have the floor.
I have the floor. I think there is a trend, but I think the trend is almost going to skip over electronic signings where you have to have your person in front of you, and they're going into the remote. And that is where I believe it's going. It will take time, but I think ultimately that is where it's going to be. Now, the good news is, of course, you're not printing any documents. There's a lot of concerns around the process itself, as well as concerns about our future as mobile notaries and signing agents. And that's probably too much to get into for this question, but I just want to say that as your state has online notarization and then remote, that is where it's going. And there will always be a place for traditional notarization where something needs to be done on paper, because not everybody will have the investment, the technology to work that way. And you have to have that technology to utilize, to leverage this. So there will always be a place for that. But the trend definitely is to go paperless and to ultimately go remote.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of driving forces moving us that direction. What I found, guys, just because I'm actively researching this and trying to figure out where things are going, there is also this level of I don't know what the right word is, but we have not reached the tipping point yet on this. So consumers are not demanding it. It's being demanded from a different direction. And sometimes it takes a little while to get things going until consumers start demanding things. So I think we have a long way to go. There's a lot of things to figure out, especially with the rules and the security and all of that. So I don't see it as a like tomorrow. Oh crap.
Oh no.
Let's get ready. Yeah.
I would like to add one thing though, for those people who have their notary signing business. It is crucial, I believe right now, for you to think about all of the things that you can add to that business that other people can teach you. I mean, we have graduates teaching graduates on our website, and I'm finding that a lot of our graduates are just getting just so successful at things they never even thought about before. And so I think it's important that you don't just put yourself in that box where all you're going to be doing is acting as a notary. There's so many other things that you can do in conjunction with your business that can last you till you're old, like in your 70s, like me. And I really want people to really realize that you're intelligent, you're informed, you have energy, and you need to really build a business that's more than just the notary.
It's got to be sustainable. And I'm a huge fan of multiple streams of revenue. So I'm glad you brought that up. There's so much that we can do with this business. That's the beauty of this business. As a loan signing agent, the most logical choice to add another income stream is the general notary work. And then there's so many other streams that you can add on there too. All right. Awesome. Oh, that's our last one, guys. That's perfect timing for Laura, because that gives you about 20 minutes on your presentation.
Okay. Well, it isn't exactly a formal one because, I'm such a easygoing gal here. I don't have slides. But I am excited to share with you a few things that happened that first weekend of May, the 5th through the 8th in St. Louis. And that's where the National Notary Association had their national conference for notaries. And I wanted to give you just a flavor of what you would hear if you were go there, what kinds of workshops, what was discussed there. So they had 4 different tracks. They had an NSA track. So this was all about building NSA business and NSA skills. They had a business skill track. So that was really about building your business and in terms of, what do you need to manage that business as you're building it. And then they had a notary skills track, and that was really to pump up your basic notary skills. Now, in some states, there's no training, there's no testing, and so people from those states were the ones that were in the highest attendance of those particular classes, because now they got the training to feel more confident about, the primary job they do, which is notarizing documents. And then they had an online or remote track. So you could go back and forth on any of these, but they were all obviously related to people in the business of being a notary. So within the NSA, the types of workshops, one was safety of the notary. And then another one was, well, once you get a job, how do you keep that customer? Another one was, how do you get more direct work from title companies? And that was put on by 2 former NSAs who are now run signing companies. And they also were former, before the NSAs, they worked title. So they had all the different experience. Another one was about breaking down barriers to get the direct work. And then the other one was how to use SnapDocs to build your business. Now, everybody has a very different opinion about that platform. And let me remind you again, it's not a signing company. It's a platform that leverages having a database of notaries in there, and then their clients are signing companies and title companies. And they use the platform to find the perfect available signing agents. And so Felicia Chen was there to talk about how their platform works, how would you use it, what's the best way to get those calls going your way, which of course is to get verified through their system. It adds points. They have points for everything. And then when they get the request might say, I need it at this time, this day, this is what I need. And these are the certifications I need in order to use that notary. And they put everything in, and then they start coming up. And they talked about the timing between the calls when they're going out, that they're not all 50 going out at one time. There's a spread from one to the next, but it's only seconds. So if you can't pick up that phone in 10 seconds or less, it's already moved. They're already notifying somebody else. And of course, there are favorites. And so a title company or signing company can say, I want this one. But if that one's not available, who else is available? So they can put that person to the top of the list, and they get a little more time to get that response in. And then if they're not available, then they will start looking at the other ones. And that's how it works behind the scenes. Now in the, let's see, that was NSA. In the business, where did I write that? Oh, there it is. One of them was on the, I must have gotten my papers out of order here. Business, here we go. How to build a perfect website. And Elaine Harris-Wright was the one that did that. And she talked about what needs to be in it and the differences from these pre-built themes that you can get at GoDaddy versus, doing it yourself completely. So she covered quite a bit. Then there was a guy who talked about the can't miss apps for your phone related to doing this kind of business that you should have. Another guy did the tech tools. So this would have been the printers, the scanners, other things that aren't app specifically. There was how to start and build your own general notary business. There was market to unique facilities. That actually was mine, and about the different facilities I go to and how do I know about them and what's it like to do that kind of work. There was serving distinct areas of your community. And this was really creative. I was the door monitor for this particular person, so I got to hear it. A lot of them I don't get to hear. And she talked about ideas such as being an AARP facilitator, somebody that works through their fraud watch network. It utilizes some public speaking. So Bill, this would be a great time for people to take that master course and utilize that to present materials that are already put together. You'd have training from AARP. And then you're thinking, well, if you're presenting their material, how do you get notary work from that? And she talked about how that ended up relating to notary business. And she ended up creating her own little notary presentation. And then it was being asked for. So she was being called out, not just to present AARP material, which she did for free, volunteering, but she got to present her own material as either a tag on to something else that was related, or just they called for that. So I found that really
I love that.
Yeah,
that was creative.
That.
Yeah.
Jamie Liggins was the one who presented that. And as a matter of fact, just a heads up, she will be a speaker at the Northern California Symposium.
Oh, great.
Speakers. So she's really out there with some creative ways to get things done. And then another one talked about underutilized industries that we don't think about, similar to what I did, but not facilities. This was, did you think about the tattoo parlors? Because there are documents, I know really, because there's a document if you're under 18 in most states that has to be notarized before you can get a tattoo if you're a minor, or body piercings. So she talked about that, and she had all the states listed. It was very interesting. Gun shows. You know, in California, you have to have a document notarized in order to get your permit to own a gun.
Yeah. Wow.
So who would think to go to a gun show? I did. To do that kind of work. So that was the kind, just to give you a flavor of how creative and these ideas, and these notaries are doing the work, because these were all notaries presenting the material, and this is what they found successful. So to be able to go somewhere and not hear somebody talk about something they've never done before, they're doing it. What were the issues trying to get in there? How did they get in there? And was it successful or not? Was just really fabulous, because it was all real information that was digestible and usable. People went home and said, I'm going to the tattoo parlors. I'm going to check for the gun shows. And then the other one was how to be a apostille agent, to actually be a certified agent to do that kind of work. So that was the business one. And then the business notary skills. So I didn't go to the notary skills one, so I can't tell you what theirs were, other than what I can tell you is that they were all basic notary skill building classes. So it would have been about just identifying the difference between, you know, a witnessing notarial act and an acknowledgement and a jurat and an oath or affirmation. It would have been about scenarios, and then you'd have to be the notary to see if you could do it correctly. It would be some difficult documents that aren't obvious what the notary's job is. And these weren't loan document related. These were just any kind of documents. And so I've done that kind of teaching myself. So I know what that's about. And I'm going to tell you from a coaching perspective, how many calls I get on what I call Notary 101. Basic, I don't know how to do a credible witness. They see a witnessing act. I can see it's a witnessing act, but they're confused between a document witness versus a notarial witnessing act, because in their state, they don't have that act. So they're not getting it. And they see the word affirm and they're thinking, oh, it must be a jurat. Well, no, it's not. It's actually something different. So I think those are just valuable classes for those who don't have that training in their state. And then, what was the fourth one I said? Is that the online? I'm going to come back and give you a little more information on some of these. Yeah, the online would have been the last one. And there was just one class taught by Timothy Ringner, and it was the basic principles of remote online. It wasn't specific. It was just, you know, here are the things you need to know about that. And then the, let me see, I actually wrote quite a bit of information on that one. There was somebody who worked for Notarize. Now, I wasn't able to attend her workshop, but I did download her presentation. And I found it very interesting, her statistics that she threw out there on how many signings that she did. She worked about 19 hours a week doing remote notarizations, so like half time. And she did it on Saturdays and Sundays at 2:30 in the morning till 7 a.m. And then on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 1 or 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's when she was connected and could do work for them. She did 1,101 calls, 1,101 jobs in last year, 2018, just working those hours, on average 19 hours a week. She was very happy with what she was doing because it fit. You know, she's at home during hours, and you're not going to be doing loan signings at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm saying that's not a sweet spot for us.
Right.
But this is a sweet spot for other kinds of work. And she took advantage of that, and she's an independent contractor status. So I just found it very interesting because people are like, well, you have to be an employee. You could. They have that available, but they have independent contractor status. I didn't know about that. That's what she was. And she just said, oh, here's when I'm willing to sit at my computer and take a call if it comes from my home. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, so a couple of more specific things that I thought were of interest. There was a guy there with talking about tech tools, and I'm constantly hearing, you know, what do you recommend for a printer? And it was interesting to see. It was the one I use, the Brother. I mean, the Brother's a workhorse. It's a great printer. The HL L5200 DWT, dual tray, 42 pages per minute, wireless or hardwired. And I want to make a comment. When we say dual tray, I want you to know we mean two trays, not one that can do dual duty, right? You need to have 2 separate trays, because I've had several that said, I don't get how you can do them both at the same time. I can open it and close it, but it's still one tray. I said, you need 2, 2 trays. So make sure you know when you're talking to Office Max or whoever to get it, when you mean dual, they may not understand that. You may, but they don't. So make sure you tell them I need 2 trays at the same time. He recommended for an HP, if you're an HP lover, HP Laser Jet Pro M402D, as in David N. It does 40 pages per minute. It's wireless, and it can do up to 3 trays. Now, the Brother is about $299 retail. The HP Laser is about $270 he found retail. And then for a scanner, the Brother scanner, the model is AOS 2200. It does 35 pages per minute, 50 sheets capacity.
I've got it up to 75.
Huh?
I've got it up to 75 sheets.
You've got it up to 75. Yeah, you can.
It's a great scanner.
Plug it in, feed it in. It's a great scanner. It was about 2.5, about 250. The apps guy talked about Adobe Scan as what he recommended. Google Voice, he recommended. Mile IQ, that would be a mileage tracker. And if you can do it free, and I think you get 40 trips a month, but if you pay $5.99 a month, it's unlimited trips. And I've actually used the free version to check it out. I did really like it. Waze, he talked a little bit about the difference between Google Maps and Waze. Waze, the downside with Waze, of course, is it's car only. Google Maps, you can walk, you can bus, you can ride a bike, but Waze only helps you if you're in a car. Notary Assist, which I love that he recommended that. He also talked about Notary Gadget. Notary Assist and Notary Gadget are both accounting software. It's what I use to track all of my notary stuff. You can invoice with it. You can run reports with it. The owner of Notary Assist, Sue Hope, fabulous. She will be at the Southern California Notary Symposium. And they are so helpful beyond just the support of their software, because she's a notary. So it was built by a notary, and that's fabulous. Let's see. All right, so that was the apps. So that was some of the business stuff. The other thing I taught was about unique facilities and why should you go there. People were they were interested in 2 things. One was, well, what are they? Okay, obviously hospitals and long-term care and other medical types of facilities, jails and prisons, houses of worship, schools. I went through a list of about 20 different facilities that I work with. But what was most interesting is they were like, well, aren't you nervous about going into a jail? Or, what if you catch something when you go to the hospital? There were some people who have never thought to go there, had a lot of concerns about how do you protect yourself. And so I was able to talk about that. I do actually have a full-blown class on that I will offer at some point. But I do talk about that a lot, and how to protect your tools, how to protect yourself, and how to get into these places. Because they're my best assignments, and they ultimately backfilled most of my NSA work. Okay, then I think at the end, we're almost done, right?
Yeah, just about.
Just about. Let me see if the safety. So, of course, I've had a safety guy, and he will be back at the symposium in Southern California, just reminding us that when does the safety start? It doesn't start when you're at the table. It starts when you're taking the assignment and asking the right questions about where's the neighborhood, and is this a morning or night appointment? And you need to be knowing your neighborhoods. When I get an assignment that's in a zip code and I know I don't want to be there after dark, I need to start pedaling quick to say, can this be moved up in the daytime? Can I meet them in another location? I need to find ways to protect myself right from the moment I'm taking the call. And also the type of assignment. I mean, if you're going to be there 5 minutes versus you're going to be there an hour or more. Pet concerns. I love pets. I really don't ask people to put their pets away because I don't have an issue with it, and it's been great. And then just recently I had a cat issue where the cat was very territorial and tried to attack me. So, I mean, these things can happen. So if you're not a pet person, you want to make sure when you're making your appointment or confirming it that you're setting some boundaries about, if you have a pet, love that, but can you put them in an area that allows us to do the work uninterrupted? Making good eye contact with your signer, making sure they know you're confident, you know what you're doing, you know what you're about, and that you don't come across as some kind of victim, like a target, somebody that is a potential. So you want to make sure that you're projecting a strong image, and then paying attention to the surroundings when you leave your car and when you come back to your car. Because I've had that happen. It was fine when I left. When I came back out, it was already getting dark, and there were a bunch of guys hanging out there. I don't know what's going on. So then I asked the signer to please escort me to my car. So safety is really important. I don't think we can talk about it enough and remind ourselves that that's important. And our office is all over the place, and we need to be very careful. Let me see if there's anything else before secrets to getting jobs from title companies. And I know these guys. They were in my Notary Symposium last year. And one is, and we've talked about it on this program many times, about value-based. Everything's about being of value and trying to figure out what that value is for that person you're trying to do business with. And they said the single most powerful tool is your personality. That is like, so if you don't have one, get one.
I got a very special price on personalities, guys. One-time fee, $47.
It's important. And the other thing I've heard Bill say over and over again is build your list. Build your list one at a time. You don't have a list, start with one. And just keep working and building it, and create a database or spreadsheet of these, because it's going to help you in the end, really. You can't just rely on random calls coming in. You just really need to build that if you're serious about it. So that's a taste. And I mean, that's just, I didn't attend everything. I just gave you some highlights of things that I found of value or important. And it's a very valuable. I know it costs people a lot of money to go, but what they come back with, there was 350. My circle was really about 50 people that I was interacting with. And out of that, I came out with about 5 new contacts. And, and that's what it is. It's a numbers game. You got to be exposed to a lot of people. Then you start building that circle, and then you start connecting with some of them. And that's what I was able to do. And whether it's that, or whether it's a symposium, or whether it's your meetup, whatever it is, when you have a chance, these are the kinds of things that can come up, and you can get some valuable information. Thank you.
I love it. Laura, thank you so much. And I'm excited because next year, NNA conference is in my backyard. It's right here in Scottsdale, right?
That's right. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. It'll be pushed back to June next year, back to its normal time. So it'll be a little hot. But the hotels are good with air conditioning. And I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited I'll actually make one, I think. So cool. Laura, thank you so much for sharing. Any closing thoughts on that one before we say goodbye? Nailed it. Okay. Carol, any closing thoughts today?
No.
All good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for growing yourself and your business on the Tuesday morning. Carol, Laura, thank you for spending your valuable time with us. We really appreciate it. You guys have a great end of month.
Thank you.